Hello, and welcome to One Spark Stories, the podcast where innovators, creators, and some unsuspecting risk takers share about navigating highs and lows, laughter and tears, and how sometimes all it takes is one spark of inspiration to find your way to happiness. This podcast will leave you inspired to take action on your own purpose as we connect, create, and celebrate unique sparks around the globe, once again proving that it is a small world after all. How many ideas have you had that you got so ridiculously excited about? And then as soon as you started to pursue it, you kind of stopped. You maybe caught your breath and thought, holy cow, what am I doing? I don't know how to do this, or I have no idea where I'm even going with this. You maybe became overwhelmed by the time or possible financial investment. Plus, there's that whole reality of not everyone finding your creative idea nearly as, we'll say, groovy as you do. No matter how much you believe in something, it doesn't take much to become slammed with negative thoughts and feelings as you go out and try to share about this creative spark. Listen, I am an eternal dreamer, and the amount of ideas that come to my mind on a daily basis is, okay, maybe not healthy, maybe it's a little excessive, but I say that solely because I allow myself to constantly be thinking of what's next instead of what is right in front of me. Now, with that said, I have also learned that if I really start to hone in on who I am and what I believe in, it makes those creative ideas much less daunting, and I can see where they fit into the bigger picture. My creativity then can live on without negative noise, essentially snuffing out the spark. We are living in such an incredible time for creatives and visionaries. With all the changes that have gone on around the world the last few years, there is more need now than ever for you to explore those curiosities, to create some new opportunities, and take advantage of the ideas you've always had kind of looming in the back of your mind, and to be innovative. Every single day, I see somebody take a leap into sharing their idea, jumping into an opportunity that they have put off, or using my personal favorite thing, their imagination. Yes, yes, yes. All of that is exactly what we need to be doing. So how can you embrace that creative spark? Well, by leaning into these few opportunities I'm going to mention. First one, reconnect with your inner kid. That's right. Find that childlike wonder and curiosity that seems to have gotten hidden behind all the lessons and assumptions. This is a question that I love asking guests on the show. What was it that as a child really brought out your joy and your excitement? Everything within the world or within your purpose is really tied together. At Disney, they call it synergy. It's the making a movie, but knowing that that movie can also come out within merchandise, that it can become embedded in a ride. It all is intertwined somewhere. And that's no different than who you were as a kid and the things that you're doing today. Our childhood tells the story of who we are. One of my absolute favorite quotes is by the philosopher Aristotle, and it's the idea, I think what he said was, give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. Now, what's really cool about this is that philosophical notion is also backed by science and research and brain development. The person that we are, the way that we behave, the ideas that we feel that we can chase are all established in our upbringing, in the environments that we are surrounded by, in the way that we see creativity displayed as a child. This is such a huge reason as to why I am adamant about schools and just different programs incorporating opportunities for creative play, for allowing hands-on exploration, for letting kids explore and find their own way of understanding. Because once they see it over and over, and once they hear people say it has to be this way, then it starts to shift away from the innovative side we all have within us. What were the things that you loved as a kid? What was it that you were drawn to? Maybe even in high school. What are the electives that you always wanted to pursue? For me, it is clear that throughout my story, there were times when writing or journalism, photography, soccer, and it's funny, even as a communication major in college, I joined a group that was looking into radio production. Yet here I am now making podcasts and coaching soccer. Photography is still such a part of my story. And the books that I made as a kid are still sitting on a shelf as I go on to write as an adult. Now, finding your own way of doing these creative things is definitely going to be key. Because listen, I have kids that have chaotic extracurricular schedules, and I tend to get a little sore if I go a bit aggressive in a soccer game. So joining an adult soccer league may not work, but why not call together friends for an evening of fun? Or finding a group to do a painting class, exploring different ways of learning and doing. That's what's going to help you hone in on who you were. I don't think there's anything wrong with, especially when it comes to creativity, being a jack of all trades, master of none. That's how we find out what we are a master of. That's how we identify what really brings that spark out. So don't hesitate as you start to explore creativity to do some things really well and some things terribly. Drawing is not one thing I enjoy. I've tried it. I have a sketchbook. I have all the crafty charcoal pencils and the different lead densities. And yet every time I draw, they look the same and they don't look like people. but that's okay because I love photography and I can tell you an entire story through pictures. That's okay. Create your own opportunities. Heck, kids around the world are doing this, yet they're getting shamed for it. They're creating YouTube channels about the things that they love. They're making channels simply for their friends. It's amazing the way that they are using the tools in front of them. These are little moguls right in front of our eyes, and yet somehow there's become this idea that they don't know what they're doing. They're not preparing for the world. I think we need to pay attention to kids because by reconnecting with your inner kid, you're going to see the world through an entirely different lens of opportunity. Second up on creating, embracing and creating within your own spark is starting with self-education. Self-education is a real thing, and the opportunities to educate yourself within areas of interest have grown exponentially over the last few years. It is a way to explore all the creative interests that may have been buried deep inside. They're, under all those responsibilities in life that seem to catch up with us, but we still know that there are passions and interests out in the world. Nowadays, you can hop online and find a course about literally anything. There are courses about how to make a meal, courses about how to register for something. There are courses about how to set up your emails. I mean, honestly, I'm talking the most simplistic thing. There is either a video, a blog, or a paid course for it. Invest in the ones that really bring light to you. Truthfully, I've bought quite a few courses and I don't know that I've ever fully completed any, but they're all there at my disposal and they are all ones that are aligned with that creative and purpose-driven spark within me. Now, the nice thing about self-education, it is such a low-cost, high-reward opportunity. It is a way to learn from people that have, been there, done that. They provide their knowledge and insights that a book or sometimes even a course in school might not be able to. It's giving that real life lens. Now, I'm not, as somebody with plenty of degrees to go around, I say that valuing education and valuing the system of it, but I also am not a fool to think that it's for everybody. It's not. And as an ongoing learner, I've had to find some more affordable ways to indulge in learning opportunities. I mean, why do you think YouTube tutorials are so popular? These digital courses are created by people just like us, but that have taken the time to dig deep and now share their expertise. It is a beautiful way to cut to the chase and get the information we need without all the theory. We just want the practice, right? Now, taking the time to self-educate or sharing your knowledge is invaluable. Maybe it's the educator in me, but I feel like this is such a great opportunity for all of us to continue to learn more and be better. After all, the future is truly counting on us to keep learning, growing, and creating. Back on episode 5, Jody Mayberry came on and talked about his own journey to podcasting. Now, Jody's course, Podcast Magic, is absolutely what gave me the confidence to just go for it. Yet I continued to doubt myself before I would push play or push record. I had all the tools. I had done all the research I felt like I needed to do, yet I still couldn't cross that creative threshold. And it was during the conversation with Jody when I was asking him about another platform to record, and he finally looked at me and said, "Katie, it doesn't matter. Just do it." It kind of snapped me out of it. And I went, you know what? Duh. This is my idea, and it doesn't matter how it comes out. I can always adjust. What matters is that I just do it. Google is my best friend, and Google helped me just do it, and it will help you. So whatever that creative pull is, don't hesitate to invest and to ask, but don't get caught up in the feedback that you're given. That leads me to point number 3. Take what serves you and dismiss what destroys you. I was recently talking with a friend about making major life changes and following opportunities that I have created. We were talking about how amazing it can feel, yet at the same time, there comes this sense of confusion. Confusion because as you work so hard to move your life in a positive direction, everything around you sometimes feels like it's remaining the same. And it can be oddly disorienting and frustrating and exhausting. You just feel like that fish swimming upstream. But it's also incredibly enlightening. It's also, I guess, a little bit like you've got Dory in the back of your mind going, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. The biggest external impact is that the people are going to comment. There will certainly be some positive praise initially that you're doing a great job. You're creating some really cool things. Hey, way to chase your dream. Take care of yourself, or whatever that change may be focused toward. But then there seems to be this follow-up. The unintentional backhanded remarks. That moment when people say, you seem different. I've never seen you this way, or it just doesn't seem like you. It's going to be hard to keep pushing forward. Sometimes it flat out is annoying or frustrating that they can't just commend your growth. You truly don't understand why they think they know the supposed real you more than you do. It gets very confusing as to why they would want to honor that you are actually trying to leave behind. The you that everybody else came to know, but you realize is actually a mask. It's the you that was built by all the lessons and all the things you've been told and assumed you had to do or be. Then there's yet another stage for creatives, and it can be even more of a blind side. It really hit me hard because I thought I made it through the backhanded comments, and then comes the silence. That point where your critics don't even show up anymore. People stop talking to you about the creative sparks that you are embracing. You don't seem to get asked how it's going, or people stop giving that unsolicited advice. And it oddly stings. There seem to be so many doubts that will creep into your mind that it becomes overwhelming. But here's the biggest thing I want you to understand. They aren't showing up because, well, it's not that they're not showing up because they don't believe in you. That's not it at all. It's actually quite the opposite. You're doing what they never could have imagined possible. You've pushed through this feedback and criticism, and they're seeing this consistent action. They suddenly have become in awe of you. They truly don't know what to say and have reached a point where they respectfully don't want to mess with your mojo. Now, when Leadership Fusion became a best-selling book, there were a lot of people that were incredibly kind and extended the congrats to myself and the authors that were involved. And then there were some that didn't because, well, they simply didn't know. There's some family that's not on social media. There are some friends that just, that's not their thing, and that's okay. But then there were some people very close in my life that I knew and yet said nothing. And man, does that hurt. Not a congratulations, not even a how the heck did you pull that off? Nothing. Months later, though, I was sitting with one of those friends just having a casual conversation. She looked at me and said, "Katie, I am so proud of you." It took everything in me to not fall apart in a good way. Listen, I am a words of affirmation girl. They really can make or break my day. And so to hear that from her after months of nothing and thinking that she had just really dismissed who I am and what I'm working toward, it meant the world. Now, it's not that I need validation to my ideas. In fact, I'm typically going to go a little rogue with ideas, and if somebody likes one, chances are it's not ridiculous enough. You know what I mean? But to hear that from somebody I care about and that has been there from the beginning of my journey was crazy powerful. And it served as such a strong reminder that silence doesn't mean you don't have support. It means that you are in pinball mode. You are pulling back, and people have now stood back and are ready for you to launch. They have seen your commitment and realize you're doing it the Frank Sinatra approach. You're doing it my way. Well, your way. You know what I mean. But just remember, as long as you're at peace with yourself and the changes that you're making and the creative draw that you have, that's okay. Just remember, as long as you're at peace with yourself and the changes you're making and the creative pursuits you're going toward, let the comments and even silence serve as a reminder of how far you've come and where you're going. You are in control of your life, and that is what matters. Over time, the things and people that aren't really meant to be there for the change will fade away. But one day you'll look up and realize that all that stuff that once seemed the same is now so different. And it's okay. The negative people and things will become a distant memory because you quit giving it your time and attention. You keep pushing forward and you make it happen. The more you take what serves you, the less you will even be worried about words that would once destroy you. And finally, the fourth one is to create from your heart, not others' needs. My goodness, is this such a strange realization that I came across, because when I first went into entrepreneurship, I knew there was a need in the world. I know that there is something out there that needs addressed. Organizational culture will make or break the experience for both employees and customers. So I saw this need. I felt it myself. Yet all of a sudden, I started to think, well, this is what they need, so I have to do it this way. It's what I've seen, and it seems like this is what they need. But it wasn't following my heart. My heart is in creativity and curiosity and empathetic leadership. Now, I've talked about this before, and I cannot emphasize it enough, but who you surround yourself will absolutely impact that creative output. Why? because they will either be the ones to say, oh my gosh, I love your perspective, or they will be the ones that challenge you to make it more comfortable for them. Unless that comfort for them makes sense to you, do not stray from your heart. As I pursue some long-time creative projects, I have found myself getting tripped up talking about my plans. It's not that I'm not insanely excited about the future and the ability to bring my visions to life. It's that, yet again, not everyone understands them. It's that it can be hard for some people to accept that this quirky, Disney-loving class clown has written a book, is growing a business, and has networked with others with major pipeline dreams like mine. And I have to be okay with that hesitation from people and understand that that does not mean I have to change my mission. Change, even for the good, can be incredibly lonely at times. But yet, I've also never been happier than when I'm on a mission out of my own heart. Surround yourself with the positive people and projects, the messages that mean well. The rest will follow, or again, fade away. Have a purposeful board of directors. I've talked about this so many times, and I have seen the meaningful value of it firsthand. Now, your board may change over time, but pay attention to those that you surround yourself by. Make sure they are the ones giving meaningful feedback, that they're challenging the way you're doing something versus trying to change it, and the emotional support that they provide when you need to unload or ideate or eventually celebrate. The best way to establish that board of directors is by bringing diverse perspectives that are in your network, because they will challenge you in a variety of ways. Now, would I love to have for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say my biggest fans on my board of directors? Totally. If I could just duplicate my kids and have them always be like, oh, Mom, you're doing awesome. Oh, Mom, can I have another keychain? Totally. But that's not going to give me the respectful feedback and challenge my ideas in the way that other perspectives will. With all that said, I want to also encourage you to make sure that the creative pursuits you have are aligned. Now, I'm not one to decide it's too much because, goodness, I get told weekly, if not daily, wow, you do a lot of things, Katie. And I do, but they make sense to me. They all fall under that umbrella of servant leadership, of supporting others, of helping people write their own story. The big question is, can you manage all of these creative pursuits and outlets without jeopardizing your livelihood and the relationships that do matter? Stop thinking that you need all the things and all the experts and all the tools and to invest all your time in one or a ton of opportunities. Use the resources and the people and the time that feels right for you and ditch the rest. Remember, we are creating with the intent to bring joy. For example, when I first started podcasting, I was looking into about 5 different recording platforms. And finally, I was like, Zoom. Why don't I just record on Zoom? I use iMovie to do editing. Not everybody does. Some people have some fancy equipment. Some people don't have a Mac. So that's not even an option. It's okay. If you like to use Word documents over Google Docs, use it. Do not let the tools be a limit to your creative outlet. Do not let the assumptions of what you think you should be doing slow you down from taking on that creative passion, or let it hold you back from what you could be doing. That ugly beast of doubt and imposter syndrome is exactly what we will chat about next time. Until then, remember to create with purpose and live with joy by reconnecting with your inner kid, starting with self-education, taking what serves you and dismissing what destroys you, and then creating from your heart, not from others' needs. Once you are in alignment with your inner child and confidently embrace those creative sparks, it will be time to start celebrating with you. We'll have to schedule a call just to, virtual high five. Let me know what you thought of this episode and what resonated with you, and if you even want more like this. If you loved it, make sure to rate and review, since that's really how this show gets in front of others that are looking for that spark of inspiration. Thank you so much for taking time to hang out today. And as always, be well, stay curious, and I'll see you real soon.
Did you know that 400 quarter-pounder hamburgers can be made out of one cow?
Later, Tater.